As you may have seen from the short that I posted last weekend, I now have an Elecraft KX3, and as always, I have opinions. Stick around, and you'll have my opinions too. To start off, let's address a couple of the elephants in the room. Yes, this is a 15-year-old radio. What's more, this specific radio, serial number 0427, is 14 years old. That is very specifically a part of the opinions I have. We'll get there. Second of all, this is an expensive radio. Despite its age, this radio has shifted my opinion of the cost of radios like the FTX1 and the ICOM 705. Anyway, let's kick those two elephants one at a time and then talk a little more about this radio. In 2011, Elecraft released the KX3, a smaller version of their already popular K3. At the time, it was probably one of the smallest fully featured radios on the market. It was one of the earliest software-defined transceivers, a class of radio we now all but take for granted, but it was not so common then. By fully featured, what do I mean? Well, this radio covers 6 meters through 160. Covers all modes, includes a noise blanker, a noise reducer, extremely flexible filtering. You can add physical roofing filters as well as an internal antenna matching unit that rivals, and of course predates, Xiaogu's famed G90. It has a couple of features not commonly found. You can, for example, attach an iambic paddle directly to the body itself for CW, making an extremely compact operating position when you're operating portable. With that paddle or an external keyer, you can actually encode RTTY and PSK31 without computer mediating by sending your characters to the radio as CW and letting it translate. Am I going to use that? Dunno. Do I think it's a neat idea? I kinda do. That said, by itself, this is definitely intended for the low power crowd. On paper, this maxes out at 10 watts all modes. In practice, if it's cool enough, it will let you stretch up to 15 watts with current firmware, which means you can often do 15 watt SSB, but probably still only 10 watt digital. Speaking of digital, the radio is also just old enough not to have a built-in sound card. I decided to paper that over with a DigiRig, but it would be possible to do digital modes with just the KX USB cable and the right audio connections, using your computer's own sound card and ports. This laptop doesn't have any audio ports, so I couldn't do that. FT8 didn't exist yet. PODA didn't exist yet. They can probably be forgiven leaving out certain features, and yet at the same time, this radio has been extremely popular in the PODA crowd. It's been extremely popular in the general operating crowd. You can get amps for it, which means you can sit at home with it and use it on your desk just as easily. This is an amazing all-around radio, despite the fact that this physical unit here in front of me dates back to 2012, I believe. I have the paperwork. The guy who sold it to me is not the original owner, but he kept all the paperwork. You've all seen them, probably, but I'm still going to hold it up, and that gives you a sense of its size. I've got everything you see here is what it came with. So the side KX panels it came with, the heatsink it came with. Internally, this unit's got the charger for the internal battery pack and the tuner. But the thing is designed around nickel metal hydride or good old AA batteries, which was great in 2011. It's a little outdated now, and there's no way to directly replace it. Windcamp sells a pack you can put on the back, similar to what you do with the ICOM 705 and the FTX1, that sort of hinges off it, becomes a stand as well, and that's got a lithium battery pack in it, or can take lithium batteries rather. I might get that, but we'll see, because this is still new to me and I don't know what all I want for it. This is where you'd put the accessory paddle, so you'd basically just use it right here. I'm holding it a little awkwardly, but you'd basically just use it right here. You can even hold it like this, by the way, and do this with the paddle. I don't have it installed right now, so it's hard to show off. Usual antenna port, power, accessory 1, key, phones, accessory 2, RXIQ out. This was a big deal. This is how the pan adapter works. This is the only reason the pan adapter works, is you get RxIQ out. You can also send this to your computer. This to your computer. Microphone here. Microphone, here's a big deal. I'm going to talk more about this in the future after I've tested it some more. This is one of the few radios I'm aware of that can take either a dynamic or an Electret mic. The default MH4 mic is an Electret mic. The mic that I have that I was using today, Electret mic. But you can turn off the mic bias and turn up the mic gain, and you can use a dynamic mic with this. Most radios are one or the other. There's no way to switch them. So why is this so expensive? It's made in America. Now, is every single part of it made in America? Of course not. Most of the chips are made in China, Taiwan, Japan, somewhere else in Asia. None of them are made in America. They're shipped to America, sold by DigiKey or Mouser, and then sourced by a company like Elecraft. But this radio was put together in California. Every Elecraft you buy right now is put together in California. That by itself is going to add expense. Remember, Yaesu's about to go up in price quite a bit if everything goes wrong. If it does, then suddenly this isn't going to seem so expensive. And that's one of the other things I wanted to talk about real quick. It is an expensive radio, but I've got a different context now on what the IC705 and the FTX1 are trying to be. I have been thinking all along of the FTX1 as trying to chase the 705 and the FTX1 Optima trying to chase the 7300. And in that context, it is expensive. But both of them are actually trying to chase this radio that it predates them both by over a decade. And they're only keeping up on some levels. The KX3 does lack one thing that those radios have. Which is it does not built in have 2 meters and 70 centimeters. You can get a transverter for 2 meters. You can't get anything for 70 centimeters. And the transverter for 2 meters is like 3 or 4 watts. So you can use it, but it's not great. It's not really meant to replace an HT, even let alone a base station. The extra I am likely to get because generally speaking, I don't need it. I already have a 2 and 70 here in the car because I've got the FTX1. I also have an HT that I almost never use here in the car with me. It also, like I said, doesn't have a sound card. Some people would say, well, that by itself makes the FTX1 a better radio because it's got a sound card and USB-C and all of that. I'm not so sure. I still like the FTX1. It's still here in the car. It's still going to be my mobile rig for the upcoming trip. No question about that. I have used, the last couple of weekends, I have used the KX3 and some combination of tuner and 50 watt amp. And maybe I haven't made all the maybe I haven't made all the hard contacts, but I've made a lot of contacts. This combination works. And a lot of what I'm doing in this combination is extra. It's excessive. I don't need the pan adapter. I just like having a pan adapter. I don't need the tuner. I've got plenty of resonant antennas. I just occasionally like to be lazy. The amp, I kind of need, but the amp is small. And even if I bump up to the AT100 amp, it's small. So carrying an amp and this, I could still carry all that to a table with a relatively small battery and get on the air at a decent wattage. I am not a dedicated QRP guy, but QRP still fascinates me, and I will be at 4 Days in May when I go to Dayton. I'm going to be going to the QRP stuff because I think a lot of the interesting work is being done at that end of radio. A lot of the more interesting rigs and a lot of the kit rigs are coming out of that end of radio. So I want to know what's going on. I'm going to be there. First impressions, this is a great radio still, even though it is a 15-year-old design. It is still amazing. It sounds great. It works well. It's fun to use. It's got all the buttons. The menus really are just for the stuff you need occasionally. Everything's on buttons, which is good because, of course, this is not a touch screen. This is a clock radio screen, right? This is This is your grandmother's Ovaltine. This is 2 steps up from just having indicator lights and a 7-segment, well, they are 7-segment displays for the numbers. This is old tech. This is older than the radio itself tech in this display. This is the display they use, however, in the K3, the KX3, the KX2. It's exactly the same display in all of them because it works. It's extremely clear to read. It gives you everything you need to know right there. The only thing it can't do is a pan adapter. Oh, and this thing even has an 8-channel equalizer for TX and RX. That's right, 8 channels. Eat that, Yaesu, with your 3-channel parametric equalizer. You do a lot with that, absolutely, but it's still only 3, and this has got 8. Those are my first impressions of the Elecraft KX3. I will have a lot more to say about this radio in a proper review of it, but probably not until after Dayton at this rate. Whiskey Delta Zero Oscar Mike, 73.